Can you arrive? So can you arrive in the moment that we're in? So first thing is if you need to wiggle around a little bit to find a little bit of comfort, feel free to do that. Allow yourself that. And if propping up doesn't feel good, then feel free to lose the props. Okay? And then it's simple. You go into your breath. So if you can notice how your body feels, how was the day on your body and how is your body on the day? And also, how's the inner you, the emotional you? How's the day been on the emotional you, and how has the emotional you been on the day? And in the staying in the topic of contentment, so we're not looking at where we're at from the lens of needing to change it. We are simply noticing and the idea of being with. Recognizing and being with. And then we layer in the breath. So can you start noticing your breath? And how is your breath responding to how you are? So the breath is so interesting as it is always adapting to our physical body and our environment moment by moment. And it happens underneath our level of awareness, mostly. Until something happens and you're like, wow, my heart's racing and I'm breathing really heavy, or something like that, or I can't catch my breath. Or when we exert and then breath becomes a little bit hard, then we become aware of it. So become aware of your breathing and just let it be really soft. Soft and easy. And breathing in and out through the nose. And just letting the belly be soft. The groin area and the hips, just letting go. And then focus more on the exhale. So letting the exhale be slow. And can you let a feeling of empty? Can you go to the exhale to a point of empty, if that's possible? And then let yourself fill up naturally. So we're not trying to force or change. We're allowing. Coaxing, allowing, being with. And keeping it super easy. And then if it's comfortable for you, when you've emptied, pause. And then when the pause needs to end, which it will, then just fill up. So when we notice the breath, we can notice things that we might have missed about how we're feeling or what's going on in the physical body. But then the cool thing about the breath is that when we can change the breath, we can also have a resulting change in the emotional body that happens quite on its own. So by really slowing down the exhale, we're sending a calm down message. As long as it is having that effect on you. If it's not, just go to regular breath. And we'll just be here for a couple more cycles of breath. And then when you've completed the 2 cycles, just go back into your normal rhythm of breath. And again, check in with how you're feeling. Did anything change? Maybe yes, maybe no, but just pay attention. And then you could roll off your blankets, pull the legs in together, and then just slide the blankets out if they were underneath you, and then lie back on your back again. And then just see how that feels. So then you just arrange yourself lying on your back. And just feel how it feels to breathe with a different surface underneath you. And then pick up your right leg and cross the ankle over the left knee. So it's like your figure 4. And then take a breath in. Your arms could go out wide or a little lower, wherever your shoulders feel better, and let your legs roll over to the left. And you could have a block to catch your foot if it doesn't land on the floor. And I'm keeping my knee up in the air. It's like I'm keeping the figure 4 shape. So when I roll to the side, I stayed in figure 4 and my knee is pointing right up to the ceiling. And then come back up to center. And then keep the figure 4 and roll the other way. And the head could turn or not. And just relax into the exhale. If that's too much, you could pull one of your blankets or a block and stick it underneath the outer thigh. And then just start to go back and forth. So just let the torso turn to the side and knee stays to the ceiling. So if you could resist your knee away from you or your inner thigh away from you, then you get some length in the inner thigh. And then come up and go the other way. And just go back and forth a couple more times. So we're just saying hello to a twist, and we're starting to get into the hips a little bit. And most importantly, you're moving with your breath. And when you make your way back to the center, just pause for a moment and then unhook the leg, put the foot on the floor, okay? And then take the left ankle and cross it over, and we'll repeat on the other side. So you roll to the right, and when you're rolling to the right, the knee pokes up to the ceiling and you're looking the other way and trying to hollow out the belly. And just stay and breathe. So the first time each side, we're going to stay and breathe a little bit. So you can just get a sense of what's going on this side. Like on the other side for me, it was a nothing event. And on this side, it's a something event for sure. And then come back up to center, roll the other way. Keeping the same hook at the leg, it's just changing the emphasis. And breathe. And then when you're ready, you can start to go back and forth. Just take your time. And just listen for your breath. And let that be your rhythm. Breathing in and out through the nose. And then one more time each way. And then pause in the center and unhook the leg and put both feet on the floor and just notice what you notice. Take the soles of the feet together and let the legs go wide and interlace your hands behind your head. Inhale is like your cow pose on your hands and knees. You just poke your tailbone into the ground, your chest expands, and then exhale, curl up like a little ball. Feet stay on the floor and your elbows are going towards your thighs. You're super rounded and hollow. And then inhale, you lower, legs go wide. And then exhale, curl up, round and hollow. And then do that a couple more times. And just feel the action of the hips and also the action of the spine. So we're doing a little back bend and then we're doing quite a curl. And then one more time. And this time we'll add on so that when you're at the top of the curl, then you could lift your feet up off the floor and try to touch your elbows to your legs and your knees to your eyes. And then put your feet back down and then lower down. And then we'll do a few like that. So inhale, you curl up. Exhale, you curl up. And then you lift up with the hips and take your knees like you're trying to touch your eyes. And then put your feet back down and then inhale, you lower. Exhale, curl up. Hips lift. Lower and down. And then give that another go. So you could do that a couple more times just on your own rhythm. And my wish is that we're waking up the hips and the core and the breath. And when you're done, let your feet press on the floor and let your arms release out. And just let your legs go long and your arms reach overhead. And then reach out like you're trying to touch opposite walls. Your supine mountain pose, Tadasana on the floor. And then exhale again, curl in. And do that a couple times. So that's just a little bit reachy and then very small little yoga ball. And one more time from your little ball, you just flip over. All right? And then we're going to hands and knees. And you may want to put your hands on blocks for this one. This might make it a little bit easier, but we'll see. So I'm just going to have my hands on my blocks, wrists under shoulders, knees underneath hips. And feel the weight equal in your hands and equal in your hips and through the knees. And then can you lift the left leg? I'm going to turn a little bit. So left leg lifts out to the side without shifting the weight. Now, you might notice that's almost the first thing that happens, so you might need to try it again. So can notice the weight in your hands, and then can you lift the leg up without shifting the weight in your hands? It's really hard, isn't it? And then keep going with the leg so you're tracing a circle. Okay, now you're gonna do a full circle with the knee. It's like you're tracing a circle with the knee, but you're not letting the weight change. And you're still breathing. When I concentrate a lot, sometimes I kind of squeeze my face, so I'm trying to not do that. One more time. And then can you go the opposite direction? So leg goes around, circles. And again, if you're pushing the weight into the opposite hand, could you keep the weight into the same side hand of the lifted leg? Just see if that works. And then just place the knees down and walk your blocks a little farther forward and just shift back. So you may not your head might not touch the floor because this is asking a little bit more of the shoulders. So if that's too much, don't go so low, okay? Just breathe. So this is almost like a wall dog, but it's like a block dog almost. And then come back up to your hands and knees, and then we'll do that other side. So the first thing I would suggest is that you find even weight through both hands and then start to lift the left leg without shifting. And if you shifted, then just go back and start again. Sometimes I find we need a little bit of a reminder. And then start to circle the leg around and stay with your breath. And so the weight shift will tell you when you're starting to let the hips go a little bit unlevel. So we're aiming to keep things as level as they can be. And then when you've done about three-ish, then you could go the other direction. And notice if you're holding your breath. How can you breathe as you move through the hip? One more time. Okay, and then you can move the blocks out of the way. Place the hands down and take your right leg out to the side and then lift the right arm up. So the right arm reaches up and then exhale, thread the arm under and go back and forth. And so we're getting rotation and also inner hip lengthening. And this is my favorite thing to do right now, so I have to sneak this in. And one more time. And then stay with the arm threaded under. Like always, you could pat underneath your head if you need, or you just stay and then find breath here. Inner hip with rotation and also outer shoulder or back of the shoulder, posterior delt area. Then breathe. All right, and then come back up to center. Walk your hands in front. And then round like a cat and shift your bum back towards your heel. A little bit of a tug on the side of the arms, down the side of the body, into the hips. And then come back up to center, draw the leg in, and let's change sides. The left leg out to the side. Inhale, left arm reaches open. Exhale, thread under. Oh, yes, lovely. And one more time. And then when you're ready, just thread under and stay. So a few really full breaths, finding empty at the bottom of the exhale. And then make your way back up. Walk your hands forward, round in the back, and shift the hips back, bum towards the heel. Let's reach. And then make your way back to hands and knees. So far, so good. And then press back, downward facing dog. Okay, now In your downward facing dog, get a feel for your hands being even and your hips being even, and then lift the right knee towards the chest. Okay, so the right knee's toward the chest, and then start to draw the circle with your knee again, and keeping the weight equal through the hands. Weight equal. So notice where along the circle does it get harder to keep the weight equal in your hands. And then change direction after you do about 3 abouts. And can you keep your weight still pushing backwards? And then when you're done with that, put the knee right down on the mat. So the right knee right down the mat and spin like a modified side plank, okay? And then the top leg circles behind you and just reach up and open. So very drapey and open and expansive. Ooh. And then exhale, place back to hands and knees, tuck your toes, downward dog. How did that go on that side? Little hip circles are kind of hard, I think. So push the weight back in downward dog first. Feel how you're pushing through all the bones of the hands and keep that even. Lift the left leg, knee to the chest. And then start to trace your circle, and can you keep the weight equal? Oh, and is it harder on one side? Is it different? And then you could go the other way. Stay with your breath. And when you've completed that, knee down, modified side plank. So the hand goes down, you can reach up, and the leg could circle behind you, and you could reach up and open, expand. And just breathe. If you could look out anywhere, you might look upside down. And then exhale, place the hands back and step back to downward dog. Okay? Downward facing dog. Inhale, float the right leg high in the air. Right leg reaches way up. And then exhale, knee comes towards the same side elbow and step the right foot wider than the right hand. Okay? Then the right arm lifts up. So you have your hippie twist. So the hip gets to drop, the arm expands. And then exhale, place the hand down and take the right leg back up high in the air. And then place the knee right back down on the mat. Modified side plank. So we went far, but we didn't at all. This time, float the top leg and bend the knee. So you're floating the top leg and bending the knee, and your hand might even reach for the foot, if it's reachable. And just notice what it is. It is what it is. Hips push forward, and then undo the leg, place the hands and knees down, press back, downward dog. And then breathe. Inhale, left leg floats high, reach up, and then take the knee to the same side elbow, and then step your foot wider than the hand, and then inhale, left arm reaches up. Beautiful hippie twist, back heel presses back, and then place the hand down. Left leg goes high in the air again, and then take the left knee right down on the mat, and left hand down, modified side plank, and then bend the knee. Your heel reaches for your bum, hip comes forward, and your arm might reach back for the foot, and just notice what you notice. And breathe. Undo the arm and the leg, and press back, downward facing dog. Alrighty, inhale, right leg high. Exhale, right knee to right elbow, step the right foot wider than the right hand. Inhale, right arm lifts. Exhale, place the hand down. I hope you have a block close by, because you may need a block. I'm putting a block right underneath my right hand, and spin your back foot down like warrior two. So I know you're in this off the mat kind of thing. So I'm a little bit on a diagonal. And then can you take your arm around, then forearm onto the thigh and come into extended angle. So I'm a little bit on this angle. So I'm not perfectly oriented, and I'm okay with that. And breathe. Bottom arm could stay lightly on the thigh, or it could press into the leg to reach. And then stay into the leg, reverse warrior, reach up and back. Breathe. Breathe in, breathe out.
And then exhale. The form comes lightly to the thigh, and then walk the hand back to the block, place the hand down, and then step back, plank. All right. Plank, shift forward, knees down. Elbows scrape along the ribs, lower slowly down. And then inhale, just lift up partway. Partway lift, little locust, and then exhale, lower. Now we're going to do that part again. So inhale, lift up, little locust, chest lifts, and then exhale, lower. Third time's a charm. You can either stay partway or go all the way upward dog. Push through hands and feet, lift in the chest, and then exhale, press back to dog. And then find your breath. So go back into the rhythm of your breath. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. And then inhale the left leg high. Exhale, knee to same side elbow, and step your foot wider than the hand. Inhale, left arm lifts, so you have your hippie twist. And then exhale, hand could go on the inside of the foot or on a block. Spin the back foot parallel. And then I'm just coming up with my hand on the block, and then it's just gonna step right up to the forearm. So this is a little step up. And then rise up, so you have your extended angle. And just a little bit off kilter here. And feel how you find your feet. And then breathe. Sweep up, reverse warrior. Reach up and back. Oh yeah. And then exhale back through extended angle. Forearm lightly to the thigh. And then the hand just walks back down to the block. Pick up your back heel. Hand down, foot back. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower slow. Inhale, upward dog. And exhale, press back, downward dog. Pause and breathe. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Inhale, right leg floats high. Exhale, knee to the chest this time, and step your foot straight through. So foot straight through. Back foot down, like warrior 2 foot, and sweep around extended angle. Okay, so we're just doing what we did. We lost a step. And then your extended angle, reverse warrior, reach up and back. And then return to your warrior 2. And then take the front hand, the front arm, that should be your right hand, to the outer thigh. And can you resist the leg into the hand and the hand into the leg without letting the back hip adjust? Okay, so the back hip might need its own hand to push into as well. So there's a little bit of a splitting of the inner thighs. I'm just going to turn to the side. So I'm after this. Hands into legs, legs into hands. And breathe. Just resist the legs back and find your breath. Now keep that action of the legs and return to your warrior 2. Just see how that feels. And then breathe. Pick up your back heel, turn to the center, and you're in your goddess facing the side wall for your warrior squat. And your hands could be at your heart, or they could be open wide. So really wherever you feel comfortable with your shoulders. Feel the weight in your feet. And can you push the legs backwards? So like you're trying to make the inner thighs longer. Yes. One more breath. And then pivot the right foot and then the left foot. So you're in warrior 2 facing the other wall. And the arms reach out. And then take the hands to the outer thighs and resist the legs into the hands. So just find that resistance. And then breathe. So do you feel the outer thigh has to work? And the inner thigh actually is working, but it's lengthening. Yeah. And then return your arms. There we go. And then come back into your warrior squat in the center. Just turn back into the center. And sink into the legs. And again, can you make that inner thighs longer? Can you make that inner thighs longer? So they're trying to press backwards. And just breathe. And then pivot the left foot. Right foot pivots your back in warrior two. Keep that action of the inner outer hip as you find your breath. And then come back to center, warrior squat. Keep that action of the inner thigh as you spin your foot back to warrior two. This is the last one, I promise. And then come back to center, your warrior squat. Just sink in and resist. One more breath. Straighten the legs, turn your 10 toes forward. Hands catch at the hips, forward fold. And just bound fold. Feel your feet resist away. So it's like you're trying to break your legs farther apart from each other. And your hands could either be on a block or they could be on the floor. And then inhale, walk your hands long so the spine is lengthened, and then bend to the right knee bends, and then pivot around so that you're back in your runner's lunge, right leg forward, step back plank, shift forward, slowly lower. Inhale, up dog, push through the feet, and then exhale, press back, downward dog, and then breathe. How did that all go? Inhale, left leg floats high. And exhale, knee to the chest. Step your foot forward. And then spin the back foot down. And then sweep around so we come through extended angle. So we're starting an extended angle. Now, the same inner thigh action that we did for warrior two. Can you find that now? So often the back hip wants to roll forward, and then your weight will shift into the big toe edge of your foot. Could you keep the back leg hip rolling back and the front leg inner thigh resisting back? Good. And then the arms reach out and then sweep up and back, reverse, and then straighten the front leg and tick-tock your feet. And so then we're coming into extended angle the other wall. Whoa, okay. Find the action of the back hip wrapping backwards and around so the weight is equal in the foot. Then the arm reaches out, your reverse warrior, reach up and back. And then straighten the front leg, tick-tock the feet. And we'll do it one more time each side. So inner thigh action, extended angle. And then breath. Bottom arm could stay or reach. And then this reverse warrior, but keep the action of the legs no matter what the upper body does. And then straighten the leg, tick-tock feet, turn, set extended angle. Other side. Breathe. Bottom arm could stay or reach out. Reverse warrior. And then tick-tock the legs, and then stay in the center and have hands at heart and toes turned out. So we're back in this warrior squat, yay. And have your hands at the outer thigh, and then press the legs into the hands and the hands into the legs, but let the legs win. So the legs are trying to push your legs together, or the hands are trying to push your legs together, and the legs are trying to push apart. And can you stay easy in your face and jaw? One more breath. You might want to reprieve and come up, or you could stay down low and then place the hands on the inner thigh and resist the legs away. So now the hand is pressing to the legs and the legs are pressing and the hands are winning. And breathe. Breathe in. One more breath. Maybe you could have a little bit more depth. Maybe. One more breath. And then rise up. Feet turn forward, forward fold, and just let your head and neck release. Let your legs resist each other and shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet so the weight isn't dumping back into the heels. And inhale, walk the hands forward, long spine, bend the left knee, and then pivot the hands around, step back, plank. And then plank, you can shift forward. A cat-cow would work just as fine without as much load on the shoulders for sure if you need something different. And then your snaky up dog. And then exhale, press back, downward dog, and breathe. And then take a little walk of your feet to your hands. And then bow and fold. And then slowly roll up. So just let yourself roll up until you're in your mountain pose and just pause. I know usually that's where we need an adjustment of our screens. And I'm just gonna move back a little bit. Okay. So in your mountain pose at the top of your mat, inhale, lift up the right knee, or the right leg. Feel the weight equal through the hips. So even though you lifted up the one leg hip, can you stay even? And just play with that for a moment. And let the leg open out to the side. So it's almost like your semicircle. And then just let it keep going around until you're in like a flying warrior two. And then retrace your steps so the knee comes circling back around and the foot lowers. Okay, pause. Did that work? I'm hoping we got thumbs up. Then the left leg lifts. So I'm going to have to turn to the side so I don't smash through my wall. Left leg lifts. This is called contentment. I'm being content with being in my kitchen. Let the leg circle around. Oh, and just feel that. And then you lead back, keeping the inner thigh long, and reach back like a flying warrior two. So remember the action of the inner thigh and the outer hip as you reach, and then retrace your steps, and then place both knees down and pause. And check in. How did that feel? All right, so we're gonna do that again with the right leg. Except this time, make sure you have a block in front of you, okay? Because this might start morphing into something else. That's what I'm hoping. So I have to turn because I'm gonna smash through the wall if I don't. So inhale, the right leg lifts. Let the right knee circle open and out to the side, and keep going till you're in your flying warrior two, and then look down for your block and approach half moon. So you can have your block there, and then pause for a moment. When you find your half moon, if you need to touch down or stop or whatever, that's totally fine. And then to come up, bend the standing leg, the arm reaches out, push the standing leg into the floor. Retrace your steps so your leg comes around, and then pause in your mountain pose. How'd that go? Did you make it back? Good. All right, other side. So you have a block handy, left leg lifts. Just keep your focus, so stare at one spot, and be aware of your breath as you move. And all those little wobbles and all that stuff, totally fine. And we just start reaching for our half moon pose. And breathe. And that might mean falling out of it. Can you be okay with that? And then coming out, I find, is harder than going in. Bending the standing leg, arm releases the block, then push into the leg to rise back up. And then the floating leg circles back around, and then pause. Hands at your heart. Good. One more go. So we have one more go each side. And this time we'll add on something, maybe. So again, just start with your focus and your breath. The right leg lifts. Open the leg around like you're drawing your circle, like you did on your hands and knees. And then a warrior two mid-air. So you could always stay there and go back. Or you could start to have your hand lower to your block for your half moon. And then here's the choice. Your floating arm could go along the leg, and you could bend the top knee, and the heel reaches for your bum, and maybe your hand reaches for the foot. Maybe. And breathe. And then the hard part, I think, is coming out. Okay, so bend into the standing leg, arm comes off the block, push into the leg to come up, and then the knee circles, and then pause. I think we might need a moment to pause in the middle of this. Just to clear and reset. And then let your arms release, and when you're ready, go for the other side. But can you stay in your breath and your focus, and notice when your brain starts getting in the way. Right? Can you just stay focused on the task at hand and your breath, and not get too caught up in how it's going, or any other stories that come along. So you have your half moon. You could choose to stay, or you could start to bend the top knee and reach for the foot, maybe. And stay in your breath. I'm almost kicking my wall a whole bunch of times. The coming out is just as important as the going in. Wow. And then when you're back, pause for a moment. And then what the heck did all that do? Just find your breath. How does that echo through your hips and with your heart rate? And just let yourself settle for a moment. And then inhale, arms reach high, extended mountain. Reach up, exhale, bow and fold. And then inhale, slide the hands up the shins so you're long in the spine. Place the hands down, walk the feet back to plank. And then step your right hand to the center of your mat, spin your feet. So we're going for side plank. And you could have the knee down just like before. Now lean your head back so you're in mountain pose. And then can you slide the top leg up like tree? It's like you're taking tree, which is the same action of the hip that we need in your warrior two. So the foot might come up to like tree. And just breathe for a moment. And then the top leg could step behind or circle behind. And again, you reach up and open. And then exhale, retrace your steps and do a wide leg child's pose in the middle. Okay. Now, if you want, you could put a block underneath your forehead. So you just have a little bit of pressure, which is a little stimulation, which might feel kind of nice. So you can choose. And just breathe. And make your way back to plank. We just have one more side plank to do. I didn't want to forget because I know you'd be upset. Take the left hand to the middle of the mat, spin the feet, and then come up into your side plank. And again, instead of your head poking forward, which is a tendency, can you lean back? Mountain pose on its side, and then you could come into tree or not. The knee could be down without the tree, or the tree could come up on your foot. And then breathe in and out through the nose. And then, when you're ready to exit, the top leg sweeps behind and reach up and open. And then exhale, retrace your steps. And then a child's pose. And just breathe. And then make your way back to hands and knees or your plank. So a cat-cow might feel nice as a little flush, or you could do one final chaturanga series of lowering down and an up dog. So just feel what you need. And then exhale, press back. And then place your knees down. Place the knees down. And come to seated. So you could sit up. If you have one of your blankets, they're still handy, you could sit on it. Because we're coming into a half straddle. Let's see where my See, my dream is to have my own home studio so that I'd have this beautiful yoga space all around, and there'd be a Buddha over there, a fountain over here, and not in my kitchen. But then I have to get back to contentment and just be like, that's good to have that as a dream. But if every time I come into this space that I have and I'm upset or angry or just plain disappointed that this is my existence, then I'm just causing myself a whole bunch of endless suffering. So the dream is good and work towards the dream, but can we be okay where we're at? That's when I want to have a little tantrum. Slide to the side and side body. So just let the ribs plump out a little bit and breathe. We hadn't done much for the side body, so I thought this might be a nice thing, just to feel and breathe and settle. And then come back up to center and just walk your hands in front. So if you have a block, you could walk, your forearms could go on a block, your hands could be placed, it's just a little tip forward from the hip, or your forearms could go down. And it's like, I quite love my house, I really do. It's in the woods, it's quite beautiful, it's very serene and quiet. But then what happens is in the morning I go for a walk with my dog and we walk through the new neighborhood. In the new neighborhood, they have really nice porches and they're perfectly landscaped. And when I do that, then I'm like, oh, this is what I need. And then it makes me unhappy and discontented and not love my house so much. So it takes me a little while to get back to, yeah, but I do love my house. Comparison is a thief. It takes away and steals from our happiness with what we have. So that's what I'm playing with in my own self today. One more breath. And then rise up. And your left hand could go outside of your left thigh if anybody can relate to what I'm saying. And then sweep around, reach up and open, lift. Oh, and exhale and return and change sides. So any knee unhappiness, if you pad underneath it, often that could be the helper. And then arms reach out and a little slide to the side. And just breathe. Just soften in with the breath. Let things go a little bit. And then rise back up. And again, just tip forward from the hip. So you can just come forward. To any degree. So it could be hands, forearms, face down, wherever. And then just settle in again and breathe. And then rise back up. And take right hand outside of the right thigh and your swishing swirl. A little bit of opening and lifting up in the front of the hip. And then exhale, lower down. And bring the legs together. I'm just having my block and my blankets close by for Shavasana, but we have a couple things to do first. Just lie down and have your knees hug into your chest. And let your arms open up in a T and let your legs roll over to the right. Spinal twist. And just let yourself settle. Your head could turn the other way or not. If you just let go into the floor, let go into the exhales, and let everything soften. And come back to center and go the other way. So lovely. And if that feels jammy in your back, stick a blanket between your inner thighs or underneath the outer thigh of the other leg. And just come back to center. Give your knees a little squeeze. And then you could go for your Shavasana. So if you like just lying flat on the floor and you actually can be comfortable there, do that. If you're craving legs up the wall, feel free to shimmy up to a wall and get your legs up, or a block underneath instead of a wall might do the trick. That's really good for hot days to invert. But really whatever position your body is asking for. And take the time to make yourself comfy. So you're allowing yourself to settle. And then just like before you go into your breath, we'll just have a couple of readings as you start to settle. Santosha is a Sanskrit word meaning contentment. There is a paradox to santosha. The more we seek it or need it to look a certain way, the more it eludes us. I find that I am continually faced with my illusions of contentment. I have an image in my mind that I will always be centered and calm, that life will always seem perfect to me. It is, I think, this very image that keeps tripping me up and keeping me from the contentment I seek. Think about it. It's easy to be content when we feel great and things are going our way and we like ourselves. But what about when chaos and interruptions abound or we feel bored or depressed? What then? Discontentment is the illusion that there can be something else in the moment. There isn't and there can't be. The moment is complete. This means that if I am bored or sad, I will only be discontented if I am not content to be bored and sad. Building contentment with boredom, sadness, impatience, depression, disappointment, and loss builds our ability to be the tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. Being content with our discontentment is itself a gateway to the calm depths within. And Swami Rama stated it this way: contentment is falling in love with your life.
And then slowly you can start to deepen your breath. Just take a moment to notice your breathing. Notice how your body feels. And did anything change from when we started? And you begin to move in any way that feels right. And roll onto one side. Take a moment to pause. And then use the strength of your arms to rise seated. And hands at heart. And thumbs at third eye. So can we see our discontentment for what it is? Can we play with being content with even that? And then hands at the heart for kindness and self-compassion as we go through all that other stuff. And then we bow from our ground. Namaste. Om Shanti. Peace. Thank you. I'm happy you guys were here. I'd like to hear how